Oh, Phil.
Hi,
Oh, Phil.
Courtney.
Happy day. We're talking about the sixth house, which is so funny because before we got on the phone, I I had to remember my spirit, and that's a perfect medicine for the sixth house. So thank you for talking about the sixth house with me and seeing how we could do it well, I guess.
Thank you. Yes, it's of course all the houses are important, but I think the sixth house encompasses a lot.
And maybe it's the most important house. It's so funny, right? Because I think every house we get to, we're like, it's the most important house. But it is actually the most important house because it's how you spend your day and what you're doing with your day. And are you living in sync with how you want to be? But yeah, so do we always say that every house is the most important house?
I I don't know if we do, but I think the sixth house, while it might not be the most popular or the most fun house that comes to mind when you talk about houses, it does, I think, offer a lot of potential. I think there's more than most houses. There is that opportunity to make things right, to fix things, to make things better. So I guess in that way, it can be really as, beautiful and miraculous as any other house.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I think that's such an interesting thing. It is actually about making things better in your life, and you get to take responsibility for it based on what you're doing in your day. So it is, I think, the house that maybe is not the most fun. It might be like the chores and the daily work and the work output that we put in, right? But it's if we're not doing what we're meant to do, it doesn't make us feel good and we could get sick. And so I do think that it is the most important house for, in a way, what you said is it's not fun, but it could be the easiest house to change, to make changes. I thought that's a good point, to make changes.
Yes, and I think the little changes are the ones that make all the difference. Don't you think? If
Yeah,
I
details
if
like
I
waking up in the morning.
right, or change one little thing about your wake up routine in the morning. Not everything, just one. That's enormous.
Yeah. Well, and make sure you're waking up. Like I think okay, so the success is about your day and how you spend your day and how you are of service, but also your habits. So eating, how you eat, like right, what you're eating, diet, nutrition, health, your health, and how much what we're doing in our day will affect our health. I mean, it really is interesting, isn't it, Phil? Like
Yes,
everything we
that's
do creates our reality.
yeah, yes, and those things are important. It's like sweating the details. All these little details add up to something that's really significant, like you say, your life.
Yeah, you think of like you are what you eat, right? And how, yeah, I like that. The idea of these little details, right? I can imagine a cup and like what marbles you're putting in the cup, right? And how each thing you're putting in. I had a teacher, he would call the brain a hopper. I go back that it's ruled by also Mercury. So it's also, I think you have to, I always forget that. It's not just our body, but it's also our mind, like what we believe and what we're thinking. So he used to say, what are you putting in your hopper? Like, what information are you putting in your hopper? And oh my God, that matters so much to how, did you ever notice, like for me, if I listen to the news or if I hear the news, I get bothered and disturbed almost.
Hmm. And it's absolutely so important that you are aware of what you expose yourself to, what you put in, which is why I think that, I'm not the biggest horror movie fan. Not because that it scares me, it does scare me, but sometimes those images stay with me longer than I want them to. So, what I've done as I've gotten older, and I think this is definitely sixth house, is that I've made decisions about, what I like and what I don't want. Like, what's on my list of things that I do, or, what's on the menu that I choose, and what's on the menu that I don't go near. I don't even, it doesn't even get to the point where I'm deciding about it. That's the person I used to be. I'd be overwhelmed by the menu and the choices. I'd want at least three things, and they would all be kind of arbitrary. And it made the decision making process not as much fun as it should be. So now I've gotten to the point where there's just a lot of things that just don't make it to the decision area of my mind. And it just streamlines a lot of things for me.
I do too. It's very interesting. I have a lot of things. I know I'm not going to eat, and it makes it a lot easier. Like I don't even question it. It would never be what I put in my body. I don't feel good if I eat it, so I just don't eat it, and I don't even miss it. I think the minute
Right.
you choose, I think it goes back to this choice of like the minute I choose that I'm not going to eat something, you're right. I don't have that thought process. Like, oh, should I eat it? Should I not eat it? I just don't eat it because I don't feel good. And I go back to if I don't feel good eating it, it's probably not good for me. Like if I'm very tired after I eat something, it isn't so good. I never thought about it. That is a very sixth house. That is. It's a routine in a way because it's a knowing and then it's safe. I think that's why people like work. And they say
Yes.
they don't like work, but people like you ever notice like when I'm busy, I'm so much more productive. Like when I'm working a lot, everything gets done a lot more. And then when I have nothing to do, like nothing gets done.
Yes. Or if I have nothing to do and I have to do a few things, I mess them up, because I'm just not paying it, I'm not as sharp and as aware. So I just get a little bit sloppy about things. Whereas if I had 10 things to do, they'd all be done well. But because I only have three things to do, there's always something that's just not quite right.
Yeah. This is a this is a not okay. I'm going to talk about something that is pretty uncomfortable for me to talk about, but I think it's an important part of the sixth house. And when I was thinking about when weren't doing it right, did you ever hear of Dr. Sarno healing back pain?
You mentioned him to me before, but I haven't seen any him
Okay,
or his work.
brilliant. He's this man who he was very big in the 90s, and he linked back pain with a certain personality. And so it was people that were very type A. So like you wanted to control things, and since you can't control anything, your back would literally hurt. And so when I was
Wow.
younger, I had very bad back pain. And so and then every time I would have back pain, my husband would like, read the book. I don't want to read the book. But you read the book and it's actually amazing because it's the mind body connection. And it's why people get back surgery and nothing happens, it doesn't fix it. So, but there's a certain personality. And I also think that's very what the ruler of the sixth house is Virgo, which is kind of this idea that it has to be perfect. And so our bodies, when we're not, when we know that or we have that stress on it, it it gets very tight. So and I hate to say this, right? Because I do believe in sicknesses, but like, do we get sick because we're holding things in our body? And I think there is a mind body connection.
Yeah, wasn't that all what Freud was about? Because you're repressing things, they're manifesting
Wait, was
physically.
Freud that way? So did Freud believe? I know Freud's like the everyone's in love with their mother or something, but or every is it that everyone's in love with their mother or that boys are in love with their mothers? Wait, is Freud think that? Is that what Freud believed?
From my understanding is that Freud believed that patients who had unexpressed whatever it is, experiences, ideas, traumas, that they would manifest themselves in a different way. So
Exactly.
yes, you could get stomach aches, or you could have some malady, physical malady, a skin rash, all these things that were. So that's why he needed to explore the patient to find out what was at the bottom of them. These, these,
That makes sense.
these, it does make sense.
And I do think so. I think it makes, I mean, listen, it's hard and I know someone who was really, do you know Joe Dispenza? Joe Dispenza talks about that too. And I went to a meditation group years ago, and a woman got very sick and she was then blaming herself. And I was like, listen, I don't think that's the purpose, right? That is not the purpose of what I'm saying. But when we're sick, we have to deal with what we're and heal ourselves. But it is interesting to actually think about your feelings and to see maybe you could look at across the 12th house and what hidden feelings that we have in our body that maybe we are repressing or that also past lives too, which is very much the 12th house, which is across, so it balances and spirituality. So that's why I said when we got on the phone, I thank you so much because you brought me right back to my spirit, and that's thank you. It takes away all the pain.
Yeah, and certainly if somebody is in pain, there's no blame connected to that. It's like uh, it's like a give and take. Something happens here, you need to adjust here. If something's broken here, it manifests here. It's like a law of nature, not something to be thought of as a personal weakness. There's
And I think that's really important. And also it goes back to the sixth house of tweaking something. So for instance, what reminded me when you said that is his when you have back pain, go for a walk. What you want to do is you want to lay in bed because you don't feel well, but you have to go walk. So just tweak. I like the word tweak. That's a good word. I like the word tweak.
Yeah, the Virgos I know are really good at, you know, identifying the issue, looking at it very critically and knowing, having maybe more than one way to address it. The idea is, how can this be better? And then they're
Yeah, how can I
great to,
They're really good fixers. I have a lot of Virgo moon. I have a lot of Virgo people in my life, and I love them. I love them because they do the higher side of Virgo and the side of the sixth house is how can I be of service? How can I be of service? How can I be of service to myself? How can I be of service to you? How can I be of service? How it is the house of servants, literally. It's cleaning the bathrooms. They have a way of fixing things. Sometimes just, actually, did you know, actually, I think sixth house is also fruit preparation. That's
yeah,
making soup, right? Like if someone had to cut up the soup for someone that was sick, how kind that is. And it would make someone feel better.
yeah. I had a wonderful friend. He was a Virgo, and I something I need to confess here. Uh, we were roommates for the longest time, and he was great roommate for all those Virgo reasons. He could fix a car, he could sew, he could make furniture, make drapes. He did it all. So I had my chores around the house, and I would pretend that I didn't know how to do them. And I would put on a big show of, what is this supposed to do? And I would make sure he could see me doing it wrong. And of course, he would get so frustrated. He would say, "Give me that. I'll do it." But this one time, he played into it so like he came from a place of love and help, and I just had to start laughing when he realized what I was doing. he was he was angry at first, but then he had to laugh because he knew his nature, right? And that's was him to a T. So he actually, for the longest time, he would tell that story, you know,
That's a great story.
and he
Also, it made him shine more because if it's your son, for instance, you need to be of service. You need to make things better to shine. So look what it could have been a little sneaky, Bill, but I'll say to you,
right,
you know, but again,
was
I do that with my husband, and if he watches this or listens to this, I do that. I'm like, oh, can't do it as well as you. And don't you want? And he has a moon in Virgo, so I'm like, you will feel so much better if you do it, and he will do it better than me. He will, and
yeah,
it is
right.
he will do it, but there's no question he will do it better than me. But oh my gosh,
So whenever my friend Bruce would bring up this story, it would always start with me telling him, Bruce, you just can't help yourself. You cannot go help going over to the neighbor's yard and pulling their weeds. You can't help. You just because he would say, oh, well, I did this today, and he would do it in a way that he would feel frustrated, like
yeah, like almost
this,
complaining about it, which is so interesting because that's the lower side of the Virgo. Like there's a
right.
complaint about it in a way,
Yeah,
but he like it, and he just wants to be
he-
appreciated for it.
exactly. And I would say, listen, man, I understand, but you're not getting a lot of my sympathy because you just can't help yourself. And of course, we would eventually come around and say, I guess you're right. But we always had the same conversation about it.
Well, it makes me think it's so funny when you said you just can't help yourself, and that is actually the energy. It's almost like if you see the weeds, it bothers you, and it bothers you
Yeah.
probably because the weeds shouldn't be there, and it's not for the best of the and how important it like it goes back to you ever notice when you know you're not doing something right,
Mhm.
you know, like your
Yes.
spirit. I think that's the sixth house too. It's
Yeah.
I used to drink, and I remember thinking, you don't really need to have the next glass of wine. And I, I was not the kind of person. I didn't have like an alcohol problem, but I didn't like just one glass of wine. They're just to me. So, but I would get like, you don't really need to have, and so it's like the weeds. Like, and are we going to listen to them to kind of the knowing? And is it for my highest good? And I think there's this. I think we know what's good for us. And I also think we know what's bad for us. And if are we paying attention? So I think for someone that sees the weeds, it's actually wonderful that he was the kind of guy that pulled them
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's what he wanted to do and he
Yeah.
couldn't help himself. And I think that's true with our diet. Like what weeds are we going to pull out? Literally see it like, oh my God, are there weeds that I need to pull out? Um, yeah.
I want. I have one more funny story where you mentioned the weeds and my friend Bruce. We once went on a trip with friends to Washington, D.C., and he brought a waffle maker because
Wait, but don't you live out on the East West Coast? So he
he,
shipped, like he fly
no, he traveled with it
that with,
in the car.
okay.
A, not a little waffle maker, a huge industrial strength waffle maker. And to him, it made perfect sense because he wanted to make waffles for us every morning. So that's
I
you
wonder
know
if
eh,
he has Cancer Moon. Did you ever see if he has like what he has in Cancer? I wonder if,
no, this was way before I got into astrology. This was
oh, you have to find out his birthday because I feel like he's very also, there's something very nurturing about this man, like very,
extremely. He, like I said, he had this mother hen energy and he could not help himself. And that's the thing. He would complain, well, but and yet he's bringing the waffle maker.
Well, and all these people keep coming around me that
Yeah,
they want me to.
exactly.
It is amazing that we attract people that need us the way we.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that wonderful how we do attract people in our daily lives for something we have to give or something that we have to learn?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it is interesting. It makes
Yeah.
me think like how we, all the right people in our lives. And I think that's an interesting part of the sixth house is so fifth house is where we fall in love. And then after we fall in love, right? Say if I fall in love with somebody, I'm in love with you and I'm great. And then after the excitement of the in love, how am I going to spend the days with this person? And do they fit in my life? And if they don't fit in your life, there's no way you could go into the marriage house. They don't work in your day to life. And I think that's always a traumatic experience, right? You ever like fall in love and you're like, this is, I mean, I remember what it was to be like, I'm still in love, but I mean, in the new part of it.
Right.
And I
Hmm.
actually think that's true. And so, it actually repeats itself too. So I actually I learned this, right? So you go into the fifth house, you have this love affair. Then it's like, does this person fit into my daily life? Going into seventh house, will I get married and then, or commit? And then am I going to have great deep bonding? And then it starts all over again. You have to figure out how to fall in love again. And then, so then why marriages or relationships don't work is if our days are so different from one another, you have to recommit all the time.
That's right. And you have to do that daily work. You putting in that daily time every day, you know, it's like working in the fields. It has to happen. And there has to be that compatibility in all those daily things in order to get to that marriage stage, in order to even consider marriage.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, and if you're not thinking about that, if you don't spend your days and understand what it's like, then marriage is really hard. And it actually makes me smile just because when I first got married, we moved into a different area and then we had to recreate our lives and we weren't at that phase. And so we had to think, right? So it's interesting because we were going into the deep bonding. It makes you think how important, how I wish I knew astrology younger, just to have
Mhm.
people I think this little tidbits of information to understand my life and why things happen around, right? If I'm hurt or if things aren't working, why? Astrology really gives me that tool.
And I'm so grateful that I have it, that I have that added awareness. It's it really does make me feel like I am, really in the world. I'm part of the world. I'm not outside it. I'm not looking from a distance looking in. I am I am completely connected, totally involved. I'm not separate.
Well, and it makes you, yeah, that's the perfect word. We're not separate, right? You and I can be very different from each other, and we're both experiencing very similar experiences because of the way the sky is. And we're not separate from the cosmos, I'll say, or the majesticness of the planets or the beauty of the sun. And even if, right? You would feel so much less alone. And I also think that is a sixth house feeling of being alone and habits. I was thinking about like my children's school work and how if you set them up, children, for like you go to fifth house, children, and then setting our children up or ourselves up with good habits and how it brings it through life. So how important it is, like like I don't make my bed in the morning always. It is something though, they say that if you made your bed every day, you would actually feel better. So maybe I should start. I don't know. Do you have that habit?
Oh, yeah, I'm the last person who will make the bed. I'll do everything else. It's funny. I will go to the supermarket, bring everything home, and organize them on my table, but actually getting them into the cabinet that's the last part that I always never get around to. It's
We're
like it's not
getting the food in the cabinet.
not getting them out of the paper bags,
Okay.
not getting them into the cabinet.
Oh,
They're
interesting.
kind of so it's that one last thing. Also, I'll do my laundry, fold everything, sort everything, and then somehow they often don't end up getting into the drawers. They stay at the foot of my bed. Often, really with regularity now. So, and I always,
It's
you
like the
know,
last moment. Everything's good
that's the,
until the last dot. It's like you just can't do the finale. Oh my,
yep,
that's very funny. That's very,
yep.
that's very,
I envy people who can, like
oh,
they just, so it never crosses their mind not to do it. They just do it. And that's what I envy. It's just not even, they don't have a conversation in their minds about it. They just do it. And that's,
we're
I,
gonna do this today. Maybe we're gonna like set a commitment of like, just like the food, but other people can't do it with the food and we can. So, I mean, each of us
yeah,
has something we're good
yeah,
at. But I do think maybe this is a good day to choose to, they say if you start to make your bed every day, your life changes. And my kids make their bed, by the way. All my kids, it's so funny. I didn't even think I taught them that. Like, I think maybe one time I was like, you should make your beds. And I do think, I know two of them always make their bed. Maybe one of them might not. But they always make their beds. And I would say
yeah,
this your bed life is better if you make your bed
yeah. You know what?
to make my bed.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, you know, I'm gonna have to make that change in my mind just to do it. So here's what I say to myself. I've done this with many other things in my life. I
Okay.
so this is not new to me to want to change something. I've done it before. Here are examples, and I can name off these examples. I'll name one. I think I might have mentioned it to you before, but I don't drink soda, but I used to be a big soda drinker, and I couldn't, I hated the taste of water. I hated the taste of anything but soda. So now I don't even enjoy soda. I don't order soda. I don't bring home soda. I don't drink soda. I enjoy water, different kinds of water. So I made that change that to me seemed impossible because I was hauling cases of soda out of the supermarket all the time and knowing that it wasn't really smart to do. Anyhow, so I'm at the other end of that spectrum now where I don't bring it home, I don't drink it, I don't miss it. So I say to myself, I have made changes like this before. So it might seem insurmountable in my mind, but it actually isn't. I have done this before and I can do it again.
Yeah. And we're better off for it's funny, we're very similar. I couldn't imagine my life without soda. And then one day, I don't know, I was like, I don't want to drink soda. I'm going to try not to drink soda anymore. And now I don't even think about it. You're right. And so, wait a second. I might fall off my chair, literally. Could you imagine if one day, like in a year from now, we're sitting there talking and we're like, we make our beds? I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine being that person that makes
right,
made every day. But what if
right.
it's nice? I think I would like to be the person that I would walk in and see my bed made. I kind of like the idea of that, but I can't imagine that being, like who do I want to be? I think about that a lot. I think I want to be a person that makes her bed.
Yeah, and it's totally doable.
I
It's
maybe
totally doable.
this is where sometimes it is nice to have somebody else that lives with you because I hate to empty the dishwasher. And so that has been the greatest gift to have children. Then they had to empty the dishwasher, but then they left. But I feel like my husband must like to empty the dishwasher since that's what he does. But it does help because I also when you're saying funny, I don't mind taking the stuff out of the bags either. I leave the stuff on the counter a bunch too. I put most of the stuff away, but there's always a bunch of stuff, and then someone else puts it away. So that's one nice part about living with somebody because they do the
Yes.
stuff you don't like to do. But
Yeah.
you get mad at them too if they're not doing it. So I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? You can't live with them. You can't live,
Right.
right? It's kind of funny, right? These habits we have. What else is fifth house?
I I I just imagine it must be lovely to live that way where you leave stuff from the grocery on the counter and then just you're not even that observant of the fact that it gets put away, that somebody else will
No, that
do
is,
it. I
I
think
have
that's
I have to say it is that is one thing that's very nice about living with somebody that's different than you. And he will
Mhm.
not, but what's interesting about, I think people picking people that are opposite of you, like we would be horrible together because we would have the same problems. But like he would doesn't ever fold the laundry. Like he doesn't ever think to do that. So, and he doesn't even think to put it like to the next room really. So I think that's interesting, but I do that. And you know what I do? I have a shelf and I don't put my stuff away where it's supposed to be. I just kind of put it on that shelf. And then sometimes I put it away. So I have a lot of the same stuff you have. Um, it's very interesting. Yeah, it is very nice to have somebody that likes to do the stuff I don't like to do. And he seems to really, I think that's why we work so well, right? And it goes back to that. If you guys don't work well, your relationship, if you're really not helping each other, you're really,
right.
what kind of what kind of relationship is it if you think about it? Somehow, maybe that's true with any friendship. Like if even if we're meeting one another and we really like each other, if we're not helping each other in some way or getting something out of it, can a
There's
relationship
yeah, there's just the satisfaction of it. There's that feeling of satisfaction, of even if you're just putting stuff away in the cabinet, what is that feeling where to me, oh yeah, I put all my socks in the dryer and they all came out and they match, and now I can put them in a drawer. I just feel like I'm the king of the world. Everything's beautiful. Everything is in order. Y- there's something about that kind of satisfied feeling of
getting something done? I mean, what
it
you're
getting done.
talking about
Right,
finishing something, which
right.
makes you feel makes you feel good. I mean, right?
Yeah,
Getting something checked off your list. I actually think there's something very, I always, one of my girls worked at Whole Foods and she's like, it was the best job ever because I didn't have to think and I got my stuff done. And at the end, like you were always finishing something, right? Like there was, and she felt so accomplished. So that
yeah,
those little details of work where there's a beginning and an end, it's like why some people would never want to own their own business, right? It's like I just want to go in and leave at the end of the day. And so that's a very big difference of a person, right? Our personalities define our jobs and what we're willing to do.
yeah. And yeah, I think it is a very it's a blessing to have routines. I mean, they don't have to be exciting. They don't have to be any of those things. Just the most mundane routine, but they're the scaffolding that is the foundation of your life. And I don't think I know I would not be able to do a lot unless you know, I had to make my coffee in the morning. I have to take out the garbage and do all of those routines. And I, my first thought about them is, all right, here we go again. But underneath it all, it's, wow, I'm getting up and I'm facing the world and I'm engaging with it. I'm getting ready and I'm doing the things I need to. And I'm motoring through. I'm not hesitating. I'm not doubting myself. I'm not. I see no one getting in the way of what I want to do.
You're also good at it. I mean, it's something that you kind of master. It is actually like it is actually like master and it's it's could be mentors, right? That sixth house is mentors, but if you think about it, you can, if what you just described, you don't even have to think about it. You just know how to do it. It's routine. It's makes me think of ritual, right? Of how when we do rituals, it creates a reality for us. But yeah, it's just so easy in a way, right? It's not a, even though it's stuff you don't want to do, right? Like there's things I think we can, like your friend, we thank him so much, you could easily want to complain about him. But imagine if you couldn't do that, if you didn't have a place to put your garbage, how horrible that would be. I mean, if
Sure.
if you didn't, sometimes someone's like, how are you? And I'm like, well, I woke up. I woke up, like I'm here and I'm alive, and how nice it is just to get something done. So I think I do think that that's why people think making their bed is such a big accomplishment, because at least if I did one thing all day, I think that's what it was. At least I made my bed.
I wonder about people who travel a lot for a living. And I was having this conversation last night with somebody who says, I pretty much live out of my suitcase. And, I can't help but think or wonder what that would do to my psychological health if I lived that way. For him, it just doesn't seem, and I imagine it must be exciting in traveling everywhere all the time. But I ask myself, how healthy would I feel if I didn't have my nest to come home to and be myself in?
Yeah, well, I mean, thank you so much for that, because the nervous, I wonder if he was like Sagittarius or Jupiter in that sixth house, because the nervous system, like my nervous system needs to have consistency and be home. And when I travel, it takes a lot of energy. I like my routine. I like to be home. I like to have my coffee the way I like it. And when I go away, even going to the bathroom, which must be, yeah, I think it is, it's purification. I think going to the bathroom is the sixth house. And so like, I'm so embarrassed, but like if when I go away, I don't even go to the bathroom in the same way. I'm so
Yeah.
embarrassed, but it's true. So I don't know. I wonder what's in his chart that his nervous system appreciates that, but my mind couldn't. I couldn't do it. I have the
Yeah.
idea like it, but I never like it.
Yeah. I think some people draw energy from that. It's exciting. I get it. But I just don't have that
Does he do it for his,
stamina.
does he do it? Because I was thinking it's six house work. Does he do it for his work? Does he travel for his work?
Yes. And I knew that I, I'm just getting to know him, so I didn't know him that well. And he did mention that he traveled for work, but I didn't know that, he rarely gets home. That's how much he travels. And he seems to like it. It's not at all a problem for him.
Yeah, I think I think we find our way to make our days work for us. And we know what makes us feel good and what doesn't make us feel good. And well, and I think that's a very important part. We have to be conscious of it. Are we feeling, I think that's a really important part of it is, do I feel good doing what I'm doing? If I exercise, am I feeling better? Because I exercise this sixth house too. There's so many things about the sixth house. I'm sure we could go on and on about the sixth house, but it is our daily habits and exercise and and listening to our body. I go back to alcohol because I keep on thinking of the 12th house. And sometimes if we're drinking too much or numbing ourselves, right? Are we actually happy with how our day is? And I think it's a question to not leave out with how we're spending our day, and are we being conscious of where we are?
Mhm. Yeah, it's because it's so grounding for me to do the things that I do in a day. It's just there's a feeling of security about all of these things
Yeah.
that I'm not
That's,
always aware of.
if you think about it, like if you know what pets are, wait, I can't believe we forgot pets because pets are sixth house. And we talk a lot about pets, you and I. Um, there is a security in knowing that I have a responsibility to an animal and that I have to be home and I have to feed somebody else. And also, I go back to how nice it is when we're doing something for somebody else. And we always have to be doing something for our pets. And so when we're of service, I do think there's a, or doing something around the house to make it nicer, right? Or improving it. There is a sense of security with that. It takes our anxiety away.
Focus away from me and onto the other person, which is, you know, can be a lifesaver for me at times.
Yeah. I think for everybody. I think that is for everybody. And then that moves to the seventh house, and which we'll talk about it. See, and to the other person. And it's, I can't wait to find out what I never know what we're going to say. And I always think it's so fun. I never know how it's going to go, but I'm so grateful I get to spend some days with you and we get to talk about the houses. I can't wait to see. I learned so much. And then as the weeks go on, I always go back to the conversation. I realize how much it's taught me about understanding what I want to do differently about my own life. Because when do we have time to talk about just a house for an hour or 45 minutes?
Yeah, I think it's for me, it's been tremendously positive. And I, like you mentioned, it's interesting just how often my daily life takes me back to our conversations. You know, there's so many it, amazing connections that I make during the course of a week that takes me right back to everything that we talk about.
And helpful. So it's, and which is another 6 hour word. So I'm so grateful for um, knowing you and just being able to have this experience with you because it is so helpful. So it's maybe all be helpful to each other somehow. And
Yes.
I hope if anyone's listening, if anyone is listening, whoever's listening, may it be helpful to you and do your daily life well.
Yes, do your daily life well and be grateful for all those little chores because they're actually rituals.
I like that. I'm, we're gonna practice making our bed 21 days.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wait, you want to remind me tomorrow morning?
Let's do it. We can do this.
We could do
We,
it. We could do it. One day we're gonna be like, we just make our beds. We're people that make our beds. I can't.
we're going to be bed making machines.
Are we gonna commit? Maybe we should put like 21. I have an idea. We could put like 21 post-it notes on the wall and then pull them off, and then we know we accomplished at least 21 days of making our bed.
I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you a picture of my bed every day.
Okay. Okay, I'll send you a picture of my bed. Okay, we're committing. Okay, we shaking hands.
Shaking hands.
Okay. I'm going to wait
This
for
is revolutionary.
Wait, what? Wait, what do you say?
It's revolutionary.
Wait, who knows if we keep doing this every 121 days? Who knows who we could be after this? Like after a year? Like how many 21 days are there in a year? I don't know. I can't really think about it. But can you imagine if we had a new habit every 21 days and it just became part of our lives? Okay, I'll send you a picture too. I'm very excited.
Okay.
Wait,
Okay.
you can't have any laundry on the bed either, by the way.
That's what I was thinking. What am I going to do with my laundry? So this kills two birds for me.
Oh, so it is. I will miss you. I will miss you very much.
Okay. All right. I'll get that photo to you tomorrow morning.
I look forward to it too. I can't wait. You better do it. I'm going to send mine.
I'm doing it. Bye.